When you hear the term mission field, what image comes to mind? Maybe you picture a place on the other side of the world, like a remote village, or a tribe in a far-off jungle, or maybe an underground church in China. These are the pictures I had for most of my life. I think it's because I grew up in the church, listening to presentations from missionaries back on furlough. I would sit there terrified. I was so scared that God would call me to some far-off land, where I'd have to leave video games and everything I loved behind. As I've grown up, my understanding of missions has expanded. I discovered that all of us are called to be missionaries to this world. In Matthew 28:18-20, Jesus said, "Therefore go and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I've commanded you." When I tell people that games are an incredible missions field, they seem surprised, and that's understandable. I was in my 30s before I realized that my love for video games had uniquely prepared me to reach people with the same passions. I was on a missions trip with Game Church at C2E2. Standing on the show floor amidst a sea of people, God opened my eyes to the ripe field right in front of me. This might surprise you, but over 3 billion people worldwide are gamers. With this fact in mind, it seems like games are a prime medium for connecting with people. I don't know if you believe a game could make a meaningful impact on a person's life, but I'm continually amazed to hear testimonies of how God has used games to break through into a person's life and change their eternal trajectory. For example, my friend Brad Hickey, who's the director of gaming at Dordt University, told me that games actually saved his life. You see, he grew up in a dysfunctional home, but one saving grace was that his grandparents loved to game with him. Through the characters and stories in those games, God showed up and made himself known to Brad. Jesus talked about loving your neighbor as yourself. He went on to tell the story of the Good Samaritan who saw an injured man laying on the side of the road as he passed. In our digital world, who are our neighbors? As game developers, one of our neighbors is certainly the players that come into our games. When I think about the future, game developers are uniquely positioned to reach people for the kingdom. With church attendance on the decline, we have to go to where the people are. And where are the people?